These are Abutilons, and they're about to be potted up. They also need to bulk out a bit more because they do tend to go up. So we're just going to take a cutting off the top. This variety is quite a dark colour in bud, but it's really quite pale when it opens up, and it's quite delicate. It's sort of like tinged lilac, and in slightly better sunshine, better light, there's quite a glow to the centre. It's quite a delicate one. So yeah, Veronica Tenants. You could actually get cuttings off that bit, but I just picked that off the bush to show you what it looked like, and as it's pouring down with rain, we had to do it that way. But so really, you just go, you've got loads of shoots here that are waiting to come out, so just go across there, sloping cut away from the joint. That's probably fine. You could go a little bit nearer if you wanted to trim it off with a knife. But these are quite tough, these kinds of plants. So really it's a sloping cut which would carry any mist, any water away from the joints. And that's really, you don't really need to do anything else because this will catch up with that and they'll be fine. If you wanted to, you could just pinch out the very tip, very tip of that. It's quite a handy thing to do as a pest control measure as you go, because that is where, in the tiny sort of furry shoot tips, right in here is where you're likely to find things collecting in the summer, spring, summer, things like aphids, whatever. It's a quite good way to pinch them out. We're going to go on and pinch out some camellias in a minute. So, okay, so that's your cutting material. Now, what I would say, if you only had this as a cutting and you wanted to get as much as possible, you can actually get well, 2 out of that at least. This is really quite soft, so I'd probably go there, and again under here. Don't make the mistake of going under the joint. You go under where the leaf finishes, so it's actually there anytime. So you're actually going here, and then again, these are quite tough for cuttings. So you cut off the bottom. As a rule of thumb, and it's a good thing to have in your mind, never cut into the stem. It wouldn't matter if you did that on this, probably, but with a lot of plants that would actually be the end of the cutting. It would start to die back up to the next joint. So that's quite an odd sort of cutting. You want to get rid of the congested bit in the middle. Another thing with Abutilons, you don't actually need to take flower buds off. You can just leave them on. It's quite a good way of making sure you've got, you know, the right cuttings. And I just, again, I've got into the habit over the years of instead of going straight across, if I'm in a hurry I go straight across, but if we've got a bit more time I just do it on a slight curve really as a sort of balance. It just makes me, oh, that's your cutting. So you can just reveal the cambium, and then quick, you only want the tiniest bit, so that's that. Again, just put it so that it's enough, put it in deep enough to just hold it upright and keep it steady. And don't come up right to the leaves. Well, that's your cutting. So we've got another bit somewhere, I've lost it. Oh no, that. You can also use that as a cutting. It's tempting. Yeah, if you cut that bit off, it doesn't look very nice, but it still functions. If you cut that bit off, it takes a little bit longer. From my own experience, I can just say that it seems to take longer to make the same size plant. So I'd go under there again, just expose a bit. It's in between the green. With this, you're exposing that green layer, so it's a little bit. First of all, you're just scraping the first layer in a way. You're just scraping the fluff off, so you need to go a little bit further in than that, but that's fine. And I think, well, I think that's just scorch, but I would still do that and dip it. And then again, you've got the sloping cuts, and I think what I do once that's started to do its thing, then I just chop that off, because it's, you know, I can't see anything actually running around on the back. So you've got 2 cuttings out of a fairly small bit.